So, we're in a junkyard, and you notice that the front bolts are out, but the seat's all the way back. How do you get the seat to go forward in an electric chair? Well, you go underneath, cut the fucking wires out, find your red and black, and hook it up to a drill battery. And I got a diagram here so I could figure out which ones were which. So, if all this works, this seat should move. You ready? Oh, that's so cool. No, come on. Oh, it fell off. Okay. No problems. Clip this on, make sure they don't touch. And look, now you can get to the bolts. Wasn't that easy? Use your noodle, doodle. So, here's the old seats that I have here. These are just the gray cloth interiors. This is the stock for, you know, an 89 Cherokee. So, this mounting style, it's got 4 flat mounts. If you notice, there's no crossbar here or anything like that. It's all flat. So, obviously these Grand Cherokee seats are going to mount a little differently. If you notice, this has got a folded up piece here, and this is flat. And that's not going to work. Now, what you could do that I've seen a lot of people do is just sit here and bend these down and then make new holes and bolt them in. And you can do that. But I want to see if it's possible to just swap the tracks. Everyone talks about it, but I've never really seen any valid, you know, proof. I just see pictures of seats and Jeeps and not a whole lot of details. So I'll try and go over all that. Now, if you have manual seats and you are putting electrics in, when you swap the bases, you're going to lose all your electric. The only thing this seat will keep that has electric is just the back tilting, because that motor is separate. But all the forward, backward, up and down, all this bullshit right here, you're going to lose all of this. And if you look, the seat, the actual seat itself is the brown piece, and then the track that it sits on is all the black stuff. And to separate it, there's just bolts. They're very hard to see, and they're not easy to get to at all, even with the seat out of the truck. But there's one of the nuts right there. If you take that nut off, you can separate the track from the base of the seat. And they're underneath all the pieces in there. They're very hard to see, but there's 4 of them. You're going to have 2 on each side. And if you take those 4 nuts off, you can take the track off. Now, if you can find yourself an electric seat for a Cherokee and put that track onto this seat, then you'll have full electric again. Okay, so that wasn't actually too bad. You're going to need to take off 4 half-inch nuts. They look like that. And you can actually get to them with a 3/8 socket. You got some room in there. But you're looking for these pins right here, because underneath them, that's where the nuts sit. So when you get the 4 nuts out, since this is all electric, you got wiring to deal with. So just pop out the connectors for these 3 motors. You got this one, and that one. And here's the wiring for that. It's real simple. It's just one of them little push down, pull out kind of deals. And you're going to have to disconnect these 2 plastic connectors from the rail. This whole plastic piece, you don't have to take out all these little Christmas tree looking things. You can just pop out this entire plastic bracket, and I'll show you that. But the track is free. It's a little heavy. But there's your whole seat bracket. Motors and all, that's what makes your seat move. So, there's that. And then here's what's left of the seat. Now to get this whole plastic piece off, there's just these 2 little clips. You squeeze the back of the clip in, and then you just kind of rotate it out. And then that whole thing is free, so you don't have to clip any wires if you don't want to. But all these kind of do nothing now. But you can still keep these wires if you want the seat to tilt back and forth. So, The next step is to unbolt your seat. I'm going to do the passenger side first to make sure that this works. You're going to need to take this plastic trim piece off. They're held in with these little plastic tabs. And you just pull on the outside part of it and pull it through, and then these little things will let go. So, once that's off, you can reach the 4 10mm, or I'm sorry, 1/2 inch bolts and nuts. 2 nuts in the front, 2 bolts in the back. Unbolt that, and your passenger seat will be free. Then we can swap the bases. So, I got the passenger seat out, and I don't think I'll be able to swap the brackets. I don't know exactly what is going on here. I have the seats that you can, I don't know what you would call it. It kind of swivels forward and backwards. Like it'll tilt you, I guess is the best way to describe it. It'll tilt the seat forward or backwards. But the brackets definitely don't line up. With the old seat bracket, there were 4 bolts that held it all down. And this is a completely flat bracket that mounts to the bottom of the seat. So the seat's all flat. But with this one, the entire section is round, and I'm not seeing anything you would unbolt that would fit on that. Especially with how many pieces are here. That ain't gonna fit at all. So I guess if you don't have the funky forward back swivel, then this might work. But for mine, this ain't gonna work. God damn it. So I got the seat in here. I got it hooked up to my drill battery still, except now I got extended wires so I can actually sit in it and move all around and figure out what I want. So I've got it about at the center of the travel where I want it to sit. You want to make sure that you have enough room so that when the door's closed you can still use the switches, but not so far over here that the seat gets hung up or you're not centered in the vehicle. You also want to make sure that it's rotated correctly so that when you sit in it properly, you face forward and not like to the side. So I was messing around with the buttons, and this is as low as the seat will go. And it's about the same height as the driver's seat for the most part. The back end seems to sit up higher, so I'm thinking maybe I will cut off the back a little bit and weld it a little lower. But there's enough adjustment there that it shouldn't really be an issue. Okay, so now the fun part, making the brackets. So I got some cardboard cutouts here. I have the tracks where I want it. I put the seat in, I move forward, backwards, make sure that being as far forward and as far backward, it doesn't interfere with anything, and everything lines up and looks good. So this is the spot that I like my track at. So it looks like I'm going to be reusing 3 of the 4 bolts. The 4th one over in this corner, it's just not going to happen because it's under there, and there's no way you're going to get to it. So if I only have to make 1 hole instead of 4 new ones, that's great. It's not a problem. So if you look on this cardboard piece, I marked a couple spots. So there's a line going here that ended up getting cut off. And there's a split here and another thing here. And that's just what it looks like underneath. There's a piece of metal that goes underneath that strengthens where the seat connects, because you need a little more strength there. If you ever get in an accident, or if someone really heavy starts sitting in it, you want more support than just what these thin little floor pans have to offer. So I'm going to see if I can drill right here, and it's actually twice as thick there, where 2 pieces overlap for the channel. So I'm going to drill 1 hole there, and I got a nut, so hopefully I can just weld the nut on there so it doesn't move around, and I'll be set. So all the other pieces are very small. I have this 1/4 inch stock here. It's a little thicker than what I'd like, but it's what I got, so fuck it. Okay, so I got some basic tack welds in there. Got all my pieces lined up. So I'm going to test the seat one more time. Make sure everything's good, everything moves well. And if that's the case, I'll take the seat back off the track and really burn everything in. Okay, well, track is now attached to the seat. Everything fits and works quite well. So now I can drop it in and bolt it down. Comfy. So that's what the final bolting looks like right there. That's cool. Sits nice and flat for the most part, and it's very sturdy. You aren't going to fall out of this thing anytime soon. Look at that. So nice. I sat in it and jumped all around, and The seat belt lines up nicely and the seat doesn't wiggle around, and it's fucking comfortable, dude. This thing is awesome. I am loving the crap out of it. I can't wait to change the driver's side open. But there you go. That's how you fit a WJ seat in your XJ when your seat tracks are not matching. Not as hard as I thought it was going to be, but definitely time consuming. So now to repeat the process. Okay, so here's the driver's side. Now this one is going to be a bit more tricky because the transfer case tends to favor the driver's side a bit. So if you notice already, this bracket has an angled foot because I guess the Grand Cherokee's floor pan follows in kind of the same manner. So it's not straight down like this one is. But even with it curved like that, it still hits. And it looks like the track is hitting there. And there's not a whole lot I can do about that. So, I'll either have to massage the floor pan a bit or get really creative with how I'm going to make these brackets. So, we'll see how that goes. This will be interesting. This definitely is not a simple little plug and play. This is going to take some custom work. Okay. So I took this cover off to see how much more clearance we have, and now if you look, it doesn't hit at all. So this definitely sticks out a whole lot. I'm wondering if maybe I can cut a little bit off of this, so that way this will sit closer to the seat and won't hit as much. But anyway, for basic seat fitment, this is looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. I sat in it, and it's very comfortable. Right now, if you notice, there's some scratch marks there, so that's the only part that's really hitting. This is basically on the floor now, with the seat sitting where it is, so it's nice and comfortable. It doesn't really run into any issues, so I'm just going to hit the floor in a little bit there so it doesn't take off all the coating, and we should be set. So, cool beans. Okay, progress update. So, I've cut the feet to where they kind of have to be. That one's at an angle, just because that's where the wall is. This one might have been a little too short. I don't know. We'll work around it. And then here's the back ones there, trimmed down as low as I can get them without interference. I also clearanced out the floor just a bit, beat the crap out of it. Looks like one of the pieces I made, the stuff didn't stick to it a whole lot, so I'll just hit it with some paint or whatever, no big deal. But everything else is bent in enough that the track doesn't really interfere anymore. It's pretty much a straight shot, so. Alright, now I'm going to put the seat back on the tracks, make sure the seat sits where it's supposed to, and mark out the cardboard. Okay, working on final seat fitment. So I got my pieces cut out, and I'm just trying to figure out what I need to do. This side I cut just a little too short, so I might have to stack a piece of metal on there to get it to the right height. This side over here is going to be interesting. I got to figure out how I'm going to do it. And there's two sides I could do it. I could sit there and put a piece in there like that against this half, or I'll cut this more and put it in here to go down. I'm probably going to do the second method where I cut some more out of the back so that way it can really sit on the weight more, because sitting here it's just kind of not really on there. So I'll have to get fancy with that. Backside's going real easy though. Got the new hole drilled. That one's sitting in there nice and square. This one's at a bit of an angle just because how deep the bolt is back there, but I should be able to tack the back down, and then I'll just have to get fancy with the front. Okay, so all our tack welds are down. So this is what I ended up doing on this side over here. You just got a little flat piece just like that. I wish it was longer, but then I'd have to make more cuts, and I don't feel like it. So fuck it. And even if this side does fall down, it'll be resting on the floor, so whatever, man. This side I had to put a spacer because I cut it too short, so that way it's elevated, proper height. These ones are just put on there, no big deal, pretty simple. Alright, they're all tacked, so now I can take the track out and really burn them in good and proper. Then give it a nice coat of paint. Look at that, fits like a glove. And it looks pretty too. Wow. Now if that checks out, we can bolt it back to the seat. Looky there. Ooh. Driver's seat's bolted down. So now you can see how that fancy angle magic actually works now. So plenty of clearance. The rail doesn't touch at all, so that's cool. The seat up there looks like it hits. There's a big metal bar that gives the seat support. So that kind of touches a little bit, but it's not really an issue. It still fits in there. And this side fits in there nice and flush with that little spacer. Something I did to this, I took it off and I trimmed it a little so you can see where I took the Dremel and Dremeled it out, so that way it actually can push against, and there's actually a gap there now. So I was able to get it to sit a little tighter so it's not constantly rubbing against that so hard. Here's the back of it. This bolt was a pain in the ass to get to, so I actually had to move the seat forward to get to it because one of the fucking things were in the way. But not an issue. So, there we go. Everything fits in there. So, all that's left now is to run the wiring. Alright, last step, once you get your seat where you want it, is to make the electrical connections final. So, I like to solder and use heat shrink because that seems to be the most long-lasting solution. So, both my positive and negative connections are soldered, and you put the heat shrink over it. Use a lighter to melt it so it wraps around there nice and tight. Then bundle the rest of these up real tight with some electrical tape. You can run your wires and show you where I'm running them. I got the wires running underneath my center console, and I got the ground wire going to that screw right there because it had a good ground, and the positive wires for the seats I actually have running in tandem to my reverse light switch, just because it was a quick and easy positive connection I could get to. So that's what those two blue wires are. So that way, as long as this switch is on, the seats will work. But it doesn't mean that the lights always have to be on for the seat to work. This switch is a two-way. You have to hold it and the lights turn on. And if you just keep it in this direction, then the lights are on automatic mode. They only come on when you're in reverse. So as long as that switch is on, your seats work. So, cool. We're all wired up. There you have it. Oh, there's the final product. It's what WJ seats look like in an XJ. I'm pretty happy with the swap. They're a lot more comfortable. They really saved my back. They look a lot nicer too. They'll be able to clean up a little better. And the process that I use to mount these will work for just about any junkyard seat. The only thing you gotta look out for is that you actually have a place to weld to and that the seats will physically fit. So yeah, this is how you make any custom junkyard seat really fit in here. These are WJs, but you know, process kind of works for everything. So there you have it. I wish that was an easier swap, but a lot more custom and it fits the way I want it to. There you go. The seat heaters, they're very complicated to activate from what I'm reading. I mean, I think you could just run current, like a resistant current or something, but the ECM, or I guess the body control module from the Grand Cherokee is what actually runs the heated seats. So they use the switch as a sensor, and then the computer tells the heated seat to turn on at whatever for however long. Or it's complicated. So, you know, that's not going to happen for now. Just be a lot cheaper to get little heated seat covers or something. But, you know. Oh well, there you go. Seats. Hooray.